what we just did, okay? But it allows you a little more leeway to bail, because we're not as deep. Here, we're pretty deep, right? We're like committed. On this one, we're splitting them in half, okay? So there's a lot more nuances to this technique. So basically, if you do this properly, it's effortless. In judo, in wrestling, in MMA, or whatever. This technique, if you get it properly, you split them in half, split the uprights, it's going to be effortless. So I have the same kind of grip as before. I'm doing the same thing, okay? 1, 2, right? Our back step, I'm replacing my other foot basically, is all I'm doing. When it's quick, it's going to look a lot different than that. It's going to be just like Uchi Mata said. I'm just replacing one foot for the other, okay? But there's a lot that goes into that quick shimmy that takes years of practice. So for wrestling, I'm going to show something a little bit different, but I'm going to show the classic judo one first, okay? So my classic judo Uchi Mata. 1, pull to break his balance. Back step. 2, and I turn and I split the uprights. Okay? Same position as that Harai Goshi almost, how I finish it. On one foot, teeter totter. I have my T-Rex arms, right? I gotta bring him close to me. 1, break his balance. 2, back step. I'm not stepping really far away. I'm almost stepping on top of my other foot. So if I do this really quick, every time it's exactly the same. That's just what practice is. Just like when you practice your single, every time it's going to be the same, right? Same thing with this. I'm just trading 2 points for 5 points so far. That's stagnant. This move works a lot better moving. When you get someone off balance and you guys... Okay? So...
Justin?
Yeah?
Where does your thigh make contact with him when it hits?
Okay,
is it on his thigh?
Or? It changes. Because taller people, it's a lot easier to do what's called a leg or a can-can Uchi Mata, where you make connection lower the taller you are. Because if you hop, circle, which comes to our next point in wrestling, it's a lot easier to do that move because you're going to out-length them. You hop, circle, the tall guy wins, usually. But a short guy like me, I do what's called a hip Uchi Mata, not a leg Uchi Mata. So, Uchi Mata translates inner thigh thread. So we're going right inside on that thigh. Splitting the uprights. Ha! Okay. So flexibility is important for the shorter guy who's good at this move.
So you're doing it almost as a hip technique?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Okay.
For a taller guy, to get, if they're bent over especially, how am I getting in there? To get under him, to lift him. Really hard, so it's easier to come to the outside. And that's where our defensive wrestling Uchi Mata takes a little bit more play here. So, as far as getting our leg to the outside sometimes isn't as easy, right? Especially if the guy's in on our leg. It's sometimes you're stuck here in the middle, or even right here, right? And if he tries to lift us, lift me here, this is a good position to kind of balance yourself. And when he lets me go, I'm in position to use that energy that he expended and throw him. But for now, he has a single leg. I'm either here or here. Sometimes it's hard to break that balance and turn an opponent because we're off balance. Here, instead of putting my foot down and back stepping, because if I put this foot down, he may just run the pipe. So face me, no, not up. Face me and pull my leg out. Yeah, kind of, but that's the point, right? We know what running the pipe is. Yeah. So, here, right? So if I try and put my foot down and back step, there's a good chance a high-level wrestler is going to just take you where your foot is. If you put that foot down and try and back step, he's going to bring that weight when you come down and circle on the pipe, okay? So don't do it. That's the position. So, from here, I'm going to have to turn both feet and my hips at the same time. You see that? I went from here to there. From here, I want to hop and circle. So, I'm turning away from him, but I'm getting closer. I know that sounds like a contradiction. I'm turning away from him, but getting closer. So don't fall so early, okay? I'm hopping, I'm circling, but I'm getting closer to him every time. Okay? So when I do this, I'm turning away from him, but I'm circling closer with my supporting leg. Does that make sense? So a lot of times we might end up in a single leg position where we're here, right? And he's trying to take my back. And we're in a great position to use this whizzer, right, for our Uchi Mata. Especially if we're late on sprawls, right? So even if we do sprawl, he shoots. And he circles. And we're late on that defense. Hike up this whizzer, step in, and we're in on an Uchi Mata. Really low level. It's the same move as we just practiced standing up. We split in the uprights. And the whizzer is imperative that you keep it. If you lose this whizzer, you don't have an Uchi Mata. It's really hard to do it from a head or a wrist. This is your connection to Uchi Mata. Okay?
Is there an alternative grip if you don't have the whizzer and you said you don't like arm around the neck? Do you have a second way to hit it?
For this defense, no.
Okay.
But if we're doing this offensively, definitely.
Okay.
We can do this from a million, from a 2-on-1 even. From an over-under position, where I'm doing it.
Okay. Thank you.
For this position, generally I don't want to overload anyone. He has a single leg. I go from facing my opponent, heavy hip, to kind of turning. I don't want to lean away like that, okay? So I pull this whizzer up, I hop, and I lift this leg, just like my pendulum, right? Okay, it's a matter of time before I'm able to take him down. I don't want my head to go lower than his head, right? That's like basic wrestling, right? You know, keep your head above his. Here, hopping circle, leg up. Okay, try not to knee him in the family jewels when you fall. It happens a lot. Unless everyone's wearing a cup, it's not fun. Here, right? Hop, circle, pull, pull. So one more time if this guy shoots. Oh, he circles, right? I have to keep this whizzer. I can't just be like, oh, he beat me. Oh, he has takedown. You've got to be heavy here with this whizzer and move into him. Even with my hand on the mat. It's fine. A lot of my guys drill where we're down here, he has a single, and I say wrestle. And I want the top guy to win every time. Okay, because if he gets my back here, I should be able to hold him off with that Uchi Mata and whizzer. Okay, so I know I kind of inundated you with a bunch of information, but Coach Hott will be able to hone it in a lot better than I will.